For being the shortest of the year, February was a wild month. Let me tell you. Let's wrap it up. Even with a vacation, a mental health crisis, and super busy days and weeks put together, I managed to read 10 books. Color me surprised. Nevertheless, let's review. So in total, I read 10 books. 6 were fiction, 4 were nonfiction, or self-help, personal growth, whatever you desire. We'll start with the fiction, and we started off the month strong with my new favorite, taboo romance, Dark Notes by Pam Godwin. Wow. I don't know how I let this book sit on my shelf for over a year. I'm still mad at myself for it because this was a masterpiece. You know, with romances, I read a lot of them. And so they can get very monotonous. They can get very like the same, very predictable. You know what's going to happen. Yeah, they're going to end up together. Oh, it's going to be a happily ever after. You know, this book kept me on my toes from page 1. Chapter 1 had me interested. Chapter 2 had me absolutely hooked. Hook, line, sinker, I'm in. I have to know what happens. It was outstanding. There were multiple points in this book where I absolutely dropped my jaw. I couldn't believe it. I never saw some of these twists coming. I love that. I love that so much. And it was very taboo, very age gap, very not demure. But we loved her. So good. Could not recommend this enough. It is a little dark. I still can't decide if I want to call it a dark romance. There are definitely dark aspects to it, and I would say it's darker than a fluffy romance. But I'm not going to go and say that it's a dark romance. I would say it's a taboo romance with dark aspects to it. But there could be some triggering content in it. I like to raw dog my books, so I didn't look anything up and I was fine. There was one part that really killed me, but that's okay. Overall, this was a 5-star read for me. Can't get over it. I will not stop thinking about this book for the rest of my life. Then I said emotional damage. Wonderful. Give me 15 of them right now. I read 19 Minutes by Jodi Picoult. She beefy. Like, she doesn't look that beefy, but if you look inside, she has font size that's made for absolute rats, okay? Tiny font. It's a huge book. It actually took me, I think, a week and a half, almost 2 weeks to get through, but wow. Outstanding. This was an immediate 5-star read for me as well. I was searching for a cry book. I really wanted to cry. Unfortunately, there was only one line in this book that actually did make me cry, and I dropped like a single tear and then we were done, which was kind of disappointing, but overall, this book was outstanding. This book follows a very, very, very tough situation. I'm not going to tell you what it is, just in case you want to go in blind, but it follows a very tough situation, and what it does is it gives you the point of view of every single person involved in the situation. From before it happened, from after it happened, during it happening. It was just... It's like the puzzle pieces are all coming together until the very end where you get that last puzzle piece. And while it's not satisfying, it is just like heart-wrenching and just a beautifully put together, heart-wrenching, breaking, shattering story. It allows you to find empathy for a character that you would never expect to have empathy for. And I love that in books. I love being able to open my mind to seeing how people were feeling and why they did what they did. This will do that for you. Outstanding read. This was my very first Jodi Picoult, and I'll tell you what, I immediately want to read more. So thank you, Jodi, for this trauma. Like I said, I was looking for a cry. 19 Minutes did not give it to me, so I went into the Torment Duet. If you are on TikTok at all, this is going crazy with videos of people absolutely sobbing their eyes out. And I was like, yes, give me that. So I tried. I tried. Part 1, I really loved. I was like, wow, I am into this. I am loving this. What's going to happen? I'm very intrigued. And it left off on a huge cliffhanger. It was very engaging, very like, what is going on? And then we got to part 2. Part 2 started off very slow. I kept checking my phone. I kept like it just couldn't hold my attention. And I felt very frustrated with the characters. And you know what? I told myself, I'm supposed to feel frustrated with the characters. And I think I was. However, the ending, no. Absolutely not. I gave this book 4 stars. I gave this book 2. The ending to this was absolute crap, in my very humble opinion. If you loved these books, I love that so much for you. These were absolutely not for me. What even was that? I'm still mad about it. I'm still so mad about it. This was horrible. Okay, moving on. My book club picked All the Missing Pieces by Catherine Cowles. So I read that, and that was actually really good. It was a romantic suspense, and it was good. It wasn't fabulous, and the reason why for me is that if I read a thriller or a suspenseful novel and we hit the twist, and I do not drop my jaw from not expecting it, you're not going to earn a 5-star from me. I love to be absolutely shocked. Like the twist came out of left field. Now it can't be dumb. Okay, it can't be dumb. And I'm talking about The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. That was dumb. No, I didn't expect it, but it was dumb. Okay? This one, it was predictable. It was predictable, and I knew it wasn't my first choice, but it was my second option of predictions, and then I was right. And it was just, it was good, but it was disappointing that I was right. And I try not to do that. I try not to, whodunit through the whole book, but it's hard for my brain. My brain is like, ooh, maybe it's him. Ooh, maybe it's her. Ooh, maybe it's them, And so I did guess it, and it was just very anticlimactic for me, but overall, it was a good read. I really enjoyed her writing. I would totally be into reading one of her other books as well. I've heard some of her other books are a little bit better, and so I would be interested in reading those, but this was my first one of hers. Then I was about to go on a trip. And I needed something small and short, and I just wanted to pick something off my shelves that was just the right amount of time that I could finish it before I went on the trip so that I could read the book I wanted to read for my vacation. Okay? So I picked up Scars by Cheryl Rainfield. No. Maybe if it's a teenager going through this, this was not for me. I also guessed the twist. I saw it from a mile away, and I was very disappointed by that. But it was just very unrealistic to me, very cheesy dialogue, very just, like, that would never happen. There were aspects in this book that I think need to be talked about. They need to be brought light to, but not in this manner. I did not enjoy this. I wanted to so much more than I did, but it just wasn't for me. Then I read 4 self-help books. Now I'll only talk about 2 of them today. So one, The Untethered Soul by Michael A. Singer. If you are on any sort of healing journey, or if you struggle with anxiety, with anger, with attaching yourself to things you know you need to let go of, I promise you this is the book for you. This was my 5th time reading it. I have read it 5 times over the last 2 years. I love this book. If you listen to it on audio, it's only a 6-hour audio. It's so fast. I love everything about this book, and every single time I've read it, I've gotten something different from the content. I pick up something different every single time, and it just resonates with me in the most beautiful way. Highly recommend. If you're at all into personal growth or self-help, start here. I love this one. Then I read You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. If you haven't read any Jen Sincero, or again, if you're new into self-help, she's wonderful. She's like very crass, very like harsh on you, like doesn't take any bullshit. She just cusses all the time, and like it's very funny to listen to her, but she has a good message and she has really great tips and tricks to try and help you through whatever you're going through. I read this one. This again was a very short audiobook, but it's a good refresher. This also was my second time reading this book. And this time, because I have read so much personal growth and self-help, this one didn't resonate with me as much. This one was great the first time I read it, which was very, very, very early on in my journey. But the stuff that she talks about is very beginner, very going from completely unhealed to just kind of opening your mind to the idea of healing, you know, spirituality, getting rid of mental blocks on income, things like that. And it was very good for a beginner when I did it the first time 2 years ago. And then as the reread, it just wasn't advanced enough for me, but I still really enjoyed it. She makes me laugh. I think she's really funny. And I would be willing to read some of her other books, but this one, it was available, you know. That was my February. Dark Notes and 19 Minutes definitely take the cake for best books of the month. Both are outstanding reads. 19 Minutes, I mean, it's just not even describable how powerful and moving that book was. And if you're looking for something heavy, something emotional, something very mentally involved, that's going to be it for you. I hope I can find some good reads in March. I have my readathon coming up. We do a monthly readathon in my Discord. And then my book club for March picked The Four Winds by Kristen Hanna. Kristen Hanna usually does not disappoint, so I'm excited to try that and see what March brings. I hope that you will like, comment what you read in February, and subscribe for more videos. I have some vlogs coming out, I have more reviews coming out, and I would love for you to be a part of it. I love you all so much, and thank you so much for being here, sweet friends.